Today I'm going to be talking about George Meade. His early life, he was born December 31st, 1815 in Cadiz, Spain. He was the 8th out of 11 children. His father was a really good merchant. He was originally from America, or he's from America, but they moved to Spain because he was a good merchant and good at trade. So that's why he was born in Spain. His dad was actually very wealthy because he was good at trade, and he was anointed the U.S. naval agent. And then, sadly, in the Peninsular War, his dad was supporting the Spanish during that war, so his family was struck financially. And so they were kind of forced to move back to America and kind of start a new life there because of their financial situation. And because of that financial situation, his older sisters had to marry, or they didn't have to, but they decided to marry like soldiers, American soldiers, to kind of get out of that critical state. And then his older brother joined the military, kind of to show his loyalty and get out of the financial situation. So education, his early education was in Mount Hope Institution in Baltimore, and then at age 15 he received appointment to West Point, and he graduated there in 1835. And then kind of after that, he was a smart kid, but he decided he wanted to kind of follow after his older brother's footsteps and join the military. So then he joined the military, was pretty good at it because he was a smart kid, and he also, grew up in his older brother was a really good, fighter, soldier. So he basically kind of worked his way up, and then his first mission was was in Florida to fight against the Seminole Indians. And then once he finished that war, they were victorious. He became the full second lieutenant, which was huge. But then weirdly, he kind of just dropped out, and then he decided to be an engineer for the Alabama, Georgia, and Florida Railroad, and then also for the War Department. So he kind of stopped the fighting and more engineer. And then on December 31st, 1840, which was his birthday, obviously, he married Margaretta Sargent, the daughter of John Sargent, and together they had 7 children. And then because he had such a big family, he decided to re-enter the Army in 1842. And jobs at the time were kind of hard, especially to support 7 kids. So he re-entered the military, kind of where he left off, the second lieutenant. And then he served in the Mexican-American War as the second lieutenant. And then after the war, he went kind of back to engineering again, for lighthouses off the Florida, or off Florida. And he kind of constructed coastal surveying, which is lighthouses and kind of for security on the beach. And then he also made the hydraulic lamp, which is kind of interesting. You wouldn't think that a general or officer would make a hydraulic lamp, but he was a smart dude, so he created that. And then in 1851 he was promoted to first lieutenant. And then a couple years later in 1856, he was promoted to captain, which was a huge step up. And then during kind of the end of the engineering, the Civil War broke out, and then Meade was appointed Brigadier General of the Volunteers in August 31st, 1861, and then was assigned the commander of the 2nd Brigade in Pennsylvania, reserves the divisions of the Division of the Army of the Potomac Indians. So those 2 wars, he was assigned the commander. And then in the Battle of Glendale, the 7-day battle, Meade was shot 3 times in the arm, leg, and back. So huge injuries. And then surprisingly, 3 days later, he decided to join the fight after he didn't even basically heal. He decided to go right back into battle and fight in the Battle of Glendale, which was a huge battle against Robert E. Lee's Confederate forces, and they won, which is nuts. And he didn't die, which is even crazier because he was shot 3 times and still fighting. So I don't know how that worked out, but they won, and that was a huge battle as far as the Civil War went, because Robert E. Lee was a huge, that was a huge part or chunk of their military, and they came out victorious. And then this is just a few pictures of kind of what their camps looked like. Not camps, just kind of like boot camps, I guess. But I just think it's fascinating that whatever he did in those boot camps really paid off, because they won so many wars. So that's just like, I don't know. It's kind of fascinating to see, what they did to win all those wars. And then kind of some traits that I think that really helped George Meade is his courage and perseverance, because he got shot, 3 times, and 3 days later he joined back into the fight. And then kind of just like another perseverance and just like courage, is he kind of he was put in a tricky spot, but he made do, and then he went to school and grinded, and then he kind of came out on top, and then he got, I don't know, general of the army, which is nuts because because of his dad, they kind of got put in a tough spot financially, and then he made do with that, and he grinded, and then he got to the general of the Union Army. So that's kind of crazy, I think. And then I don't know, he's a loving guy, and he had 7 kids, and he loved his wife, and he didn't really do anything stupid. So I think he's altogether a pretty good person, and he made a huge difference in the Civil War. So